Coming up on the Andrew Neil Show.
This #1 dressing room at the Adelphi Theatre in London is normally out of bounds, but I've had permission from the gaffer, Sir Andrew Lloyd Webber. The star who's moved in here is one of the world's top entertainers. She sold 13 million records and won more gold discs than any other British female artist. She scooped dozens of awards, including 2 American Grammys, and you've got to be good to do that. She's on stage now, of course, so let's sneak a quick look round. Once described as England's cherub, she's a performer of enormous stature, even though she's just 5'1". That didn't stop her from dancing with Fred Astaire. Well, her show is about to end, so I'm going to live dangerously and invade her spotlight. After that, all being well, our show will begin. I should really have slid down the banisters, but I thought there's only one way to do it properly so that I can say, tonight, Petula Clark, this is your life.
What are you doing here?
Yes.
You can't do this. You know that. You can't do this.
I'm sorry you said that, because we planned to do it right here. Put our set over yours, a slightly bigger staircase for us, I think.
I don't know what to say. I'm just totally overwhelmed.
If you take my arm, I'll take you somewhere nice. Well, you never know who you'll bump into on the stroll down Sunset Boulevard, but first are your family, including your stepmother, Anne, and your brothers, Christopher and Malcolm. In your 53 years in show business, you've topped music charts worldwide and appeared in over 24 films. Now, one man you've trod the boards with has boarded a plane and flown the Atlantic to be with you.
Hi, Petula.
Hey,
Come back and play me mother on Broadway then. I missed you.
Well, don't be misled by the accent. As your curtain rose tonight, he took off on Concorde. He's just got here from New York, David Cassidy. David, you were cutting a bit fine, weren't you?
A little bit fine. I got here about 15 seconds ago. Actually, about 6 minutes ago.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I can't tell you how thrilled I am. But I was expecting to see you in the Norman Desmond thing.
Oh, well, yes, I managed to scrape most of it off.
So, were you a little shocked?
A little shocked, yeah.
Well, that's the idea. Now, let's get it straight, because you were Pet's son in the musical Blood Brothers on Broadway.
Indeed.
And that was a Liverpool story. How was her Scouse accent?
Well, actually, you know, she finds it very difficult to take credit where credit is due. Like most artists, she was a little insecure about the accent. But we were just fine up until the night before we opened. And the night before we opened, I kept checking with her, saying, you okay, you okay? She said, yeah, fine. About 2 minutes before the curtain went up, hear a knock at the door, and I get this. Oh my God, I can't take it!
It's absolutely true.
But she was sensational. I love you.
I love you.
David, thank you very much.
Thank you for coming.
Well, Petula, Sally Olwen Clark, this is your life. It began one November day in the Surrey town of Epsom, and you've gone through life like a dose of salts.
Downtown, things will be
All that and you danced with Fred Astaire. Mind you, he wasn't the only one who swept you off your feet.
Actually, all I did was to change the light bulb.
And then you were fused together. We've flown him from Paris, your husband, Claude Wolf. Claude, you mentioned a light bulb. Could you explain?
Yeah, in fact, I was a PR in Paris in a recording company, and Petula came to our office, and the light went stopped. Then they called me to fix up the light. I jumped on the desk, because I was a tall one, and the ceiling was very high. Then I jumped on the desk, changed the light. We saw each other, and a year later we were married, and success and children.
Yeah, yeah. It's absolutely true. You know, the light with the light. Shall I translate it into English?
Well, I wouldn't say it was tall, but I could see that anyway.
I translate his English into English.
Very good.
I said it was in Paris.
In Paris. Married, manager, 3 children.
Yes.
So far, so good. Claude, thank you very much. Now, after your hit song Sailor notches up your first #1 in the British charts in 1961, you tour France.
I love Paris in the springtime.
Sasha.
I love Paris in the fall.
Yes, another Frenchman who plays a key role in your life and career. He loves Paris, London loves him. Sacha Distel. So, Sacha, yours is a real entente cordiale.
Really, yes. It didn't start that way, though. First time we worked together, that was in Salon Provence. Remember that?
You're not going to tell that
I'm going to
story.
tell that. In a wonderful small city in France with a castle, and at the foot of the castle we had that big, huge stage, and she was supposed to do about 35, 40 minutes. She stayed on for 1 hour and a half, and I was waiting, and much later on when we got very friendly, I said, remember that night in Salon Provence? And she looked at Claude and she said, I had orders.
Sacha, thank you.
Complete love.
Now, it's an Englishman, your late father, Leslie, who first becomes aware of your singing when you're 6 years old. One day, the wireless blares out a popular song as Leslie tries to sleep after being on night duty as a nurse. He yells to your mum, Doris, to turn the music down, and she shouts back, it's not the wireless, it's our pet, doing her Vera Lynn impression. Was it We'll Meet Again?
I don't remember. It was a long time ago. Probably was, yes.
Well, you start school at Moor Lane Elementary in Chessington, but age 7 you win your first talent contest at a village fair. By now, war has broken out. When you're 10, your father drives you to the BBC to take part in a radio program in which children send messages to the forces overseas. Now, as a result, you're invited to be a regular contributor to radio request shows like It's All Yours. What did you do?
I said, I don't remember. You probably know.
I know more than you do. Now, we've heard about your Vera Lynn impressions, and I believe you did a very good Carmen Miranda.
Oh, yes, at the time, yes.
Yes, couldn't do it now.
I don't think so.
Okay, well, this is how you did it then. Actually, you sound more like Snow White.
I sound like Minnie Mouse, I think.
Anyway, later your father arranges for you to sing at over 100 concerts for the troops at home. Performing at the Albert Hall in London, you're spotted by movie director Maurice Elvey, who casts you in your first film, A Medal for the General. It's 1944, you're still only 12, but a contract with rank brings you stardom as a member of that famous film family, the Huggets. Well, by the time you were 15, you'd been in show business for 9 years. You'd made over 1,000 professional appearances. Did you ever encourage your own children into the business?
We both wanted our children to have a normal childhood, whatever that is. You know, I'm not quite sure what that is. But So we kept them away from show business, although they saw an awful lot of it, of course, and maybe that's one of the reasons why they never wanted to go into it. You know, because it's hard work.
Well, about to make a rare appearance on television, from Paris, your daughter Kate, and from Geneva, your son Patrick.
Oh, man.
Now, Kate, you're a painter, and Patrick studied finance.
That's right.
Kate, did you ever think about a showbiz career?
Not really, no.
Well, Patrick, what was she like at home?
She was great. She was great. Not the best cook, but she was good. She was good. The big issue.
I'm what you call an emotional cook. You know,
The big
it's
issue.
either there or it's not, you know.
Well, it did them no harm. Thank you both very much.
Oh, darling.
It's good to see you.
Oh, this is gorgeous. It's worth it for this.
In the 1950s, you are finally allowed to grow up and come of age, but you're still our pet to the nation. You taste your first chart success with songs like All My Heart and Alone. You tour Europe, and in 1961, you marry Claude in Paris. A blessing follows a few weeks later in the village church at Lodsworth in Sussex. You celebrate that Christmas by giving birth to a bouncing baby girl. Now that girl is about to become a mum herself, your daughter Barbara and her husband Roger.
Here I am in New York in my living room. I wish you could be here with us. As you know, I'm expecting and I can't travel. I hope that next time I see you will be 3, Roger, I and Sébastien. And I just wish you have the best evening and I'll speak to you soon.
Thank you, Barbara. You're looking forward to becoming a grandmother?
Very much.
Very much. Well, back to showbiz. Sunset Boulevard is your latest, perhaps your greatest triumph. And it might not have happened but for a bit of arm twisting.
I am so glad you changed your mind.
Former director of the Royal Shakespeare Company and director of Sunset Boulevard, Trevor Nunn.
Thank you for being here.
Trevor, did you fear that the lady was not returning?
If ever there was a case of backing into the limelight, this was it. Petula was very, very reluctant to come and see me, and she clutched a cup of tea through our talk, and she made an ever-lengthening list of reasons why she couldn't and shouldn't play Norma Desmond. Fortunately, I didn't believe Petula, and then gradually we got around to starting to work, and of course, when we did that, her courage and her talent made her soar through it, and she had an absolute triumph, which she's still in the midst of. She's the real thing.
Do you remember the moment that you gave in to Trevor?
No. I don't think, I can't honestly remember saying yes.
Another gifted director brought out the best in you when you were just 16. Nowadays, like you, he is a globetrotter. His work for UNICEF has taken him to Washington, but he sends you this greeting, Sir Peter Ustinov.
My dear, in fact, let's be reckless, my darling pet. I remember our first meeting because I directed you in a film, in the mists of time, called Vice Versa. And so I greet you most cordially and give you a big kiss and a most bone-crushing hug. Thank you very much. The world is richer for the fact that you're in it, Pet.
Oh, God.
Thank you, Peter. In 1952, you make a film which marks a milestone in your career. It's called Made in Heaven, and you're no longer a child star. In it, you play a married woman.
Darling. My pin.
Think of the poor little girl. Oh, darling, the pin right in my ear.
Now, your screen husband was a gentlemanly character called Basil Topham.
do mind those hairpins when you kiss me, and I keep finding them in the bed with your teddy bear.
Otherwise known as David Tomlinson.
You don't have to kiss everybody, darling.
You don't want me to kiss you?
David. Was this a marriage made in heaven?
Well, it wasn't really, because I was old enough to be her father. The romance offset was out of the question. You really were always a very, very charming, sweet, clever, talented girl. And I mean it from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you, my
There's a lot
dears.
of nonsense talked on this sort of program, but that is genuine.
Thank you, David. Thank you for bringing sensible note to the proceedings. Now, at 17, you cut your first record, Music, 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 which has come to sum up your career. You've recorded songs in 5 different languages, even Gaelic. You make it to #1 in 6 countries.
But your biggest hit in 1964 nearly went to somebody else.
He's wandered downtown to sing your praises tonight, songwriter Tony Hatch.
It's lovely people being here.
David, you've written theme tunes for shows like Emmerdale and Neighbours. How did you come to write an international hit for Petula Clark?
Not without Petula's help herself. In 1963, I was given the wonderful job of making all of your records. And at about the same time, I'd written a little song, but it hadn't got any words, and it went da 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 da. And you said, "What's it called?" And I said, "Well, that's all I've got at the moment." And it goes downtown, and you said, "That's the one I want to record." And we set up the recording session in London, and I finished the second verse of the song in the gentleman's toilet.
I didn't
Pi
know that.
Records, yes. That's why it always sounds. It sounds like the second verse, and I have to say that Downtown would not have ever happened if it hadn't have been for you, because that song actually had been written for the Drifters originally.
I didn't know that either.
Oh, I know you didn't, but I thought I'd better tell you.
Neither did the Drifters, so there we are.
Oh, you wrote many wonderful other songs after
Thank
that
you.
too.
Thank you so much.
Great, great, great.
Indeed. Tony, thank you very much.
Thank you.
For many artists, performing before their peers is a nerve-wracking business. In 1965, you sang in America before an audience which included Frank Sinatra, Fred Astaire, and Sammy Davis Jr. Luckily, a lifelong friend was at your side. You've been chums since you were child stars together. On screen tonight, Anthony Newley.
Hello, my darling. It's Newley. I was just thinking, 50 years ago, I think it was 1946, in a film called Vote for Huggett, I was a 15-year-old kid with a lot of pimples, and I told you I loved you. I'm 65 now, and I still love you. And in a profession where little boys with dirty T-shirts are called stars, it's truly reassuring to know that there are real stars like yourself still with us. I'm honored to have shared my life with you, and very grateful that I've had this chance to salute you. I love you, dear.
Thank you, Tony. '67 brings fresh chart success with your #1 hit, This Is My Song, and Don't Sleep in the Subway. The following year is full of surprises. He is a shy schoolmaster, you are a music hall star, you marry and immediately have 283 children, all of them boys. There's only a movie, of course, Goodbye, Mr. Chips.
Soapy.
Oh, he's talking to Chips, I think.
All I could find, darling, at least 3 years old, must make me look like Queen Victoria. Take me up.
And playing your best friend in that film, Sian Phillips. Sian, how did Petula get on with all those horrible schoolboys?
Oh, she was wonderful with them, and she made it all seem like fun. And she was also very wonderful with girls, because my little girls were there for the summer, and her little girls were there.
Yeah.
And one day she looked after all of them, I remember, which was over and above the call of duty. And I warmed to her, as does everyone that works with her, and I'm very proud to have worked with you, and glad to be here tonight.
Thank you so much.
Sian, thank you.
Great to see you.
Playing Mrs. Chips might have affected your maternal instincts. Playing Mrs. Wolfe certainly did. In 1972, your son Patrick is born. You're voted Personality Mother of the Year in a nationwide poll. You take off a few years to spend more time with your family. Children and music remain your two passions, and then in 1981, along comes a role that combines them both.
And the hills were alive with the sound of sobbing children.
Your co-star in that production of The Sound of Music, Honor Blackman.
Yeah.
I don't remember too many sobbing children in that show.
No, well, it all had to do with the regulations attached to the control of children working in the theatre. So it was about 10 weeks, I think, they ran, didn't they, the children?
Mm-hmm.
So we had regular farewell parties. And poor Pet used to get soaked, didn't you? Because they sobbed and sobbed because they couldn't bear to leave, because they were so fond of Pet by the end of that.
They were
as
great.
indeed we all were.
Thank you very much.
I loved doing Sound of
Yes,
Music,
it
and
was great.
mostly because of this lady. She's great.
Lovely.
Great lady.
Now, among all the triumphs, there are inevitably disappointments. The musical Someone Like You, a show that you wrote and starred in, isn't the success that you'd hoped for.
And you phoned me to say, get here quick, they're stripping the dressing rooms.
It's someone like Dave Willits.
Oh.
Dave, did the show go on that night?
Well, it didn't that night, but we had toured the show, and we came into the Strand Theatre, and it had rather an abrupt ending, didn't it, really?
It was a nightmare.
It was a nightmare, but we won't go into those reasons. We'd rehearsed Someone Like You, we toured Someone Like You, you wrote it, you starred in it.
Co-wrote it.
And I asked her one day to give up one of her precious Sundays off to come and join me in a concert in Warwick, do you remember? For no more than a cheese sandwich, I'm afraid. And God love her, she came along and she sang all her hits, brought the house down, and you know, in my experience, the bigger the star, the nicer the person, and there's not many nicer people than Petula. God bless you.
Thank you, Dave.
See you later.
You were just 11 years old at your first big concert at the Royal Albert Hall. In 1983, you returned there to celebrate 40 years in show business. And the work continues. That year also finds you in the title role of Shaw's romantic drama, Candida.
Well, you said acting with me was like working with a performing monkey.
Well, in spite of that, he went on to star in the TV comedy Bread and then into films. And tonight he's flown in from Bucharest, Jonathan Morris.
Good to see you. Oh, it's
Jonathan, doesn't sound like your finest tribute.
It's a long story how we came to work together. Petula first came to watch me in As You Like It at the Chichester Festival Theatre. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And
Patricia Hodge.
with Patricia Hodge. And about 3 months later, I get a phone call asking me to play the lead in this very straight-laced George Bernard Shaw play about idealism, in which Petula played the title role quite brilliantly. And I called my dad and I said, Dad, I've got the lead in this play, and guess who's playing the title role? He said, who? I said, somebody called Petula Clark. And Dad said, Petula Clark? John, she's the best, she's the greatest, she's done everything, you should be so proud. And I was really proud, and he said, go out there and do your best. And if you're a young guy just starting out in your career, and this is long before bread or anything like that, you hope that somebody special will come along and give you confidence and belief in you. And Petula certainly did that, along with my parents who send the love to you tonight. Really, along with one other person, the only person that did that. And really, you can't give a finer tribute, because I think it gave me the confidence to go on to do the comedy and, of course, the musicals, which I've done since.
I believed in you, and I wasn't wrong.
Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you.
Thank you. See you.
David Cassidy, how confident were you and Pet taking Blood Brothers to Broadway?
Well, as you probably remember, most of my early career and Pet's early career was rooted in a working-class Liverpudlian environment, so I felt absolutely no fear about it at all. Are you kidding? I was petrified. But part of, I think, Trevor Nunn probably said it very well, is that in the development of the role as the actor in Petula's case, and somewhat in my case, as it developed, I think part of the process which makes her so special and so unique is that she feels she can't do it. And for whatever goes on in that process for her internally, when she nailed it opening night, she was magnificent and is. And for me to work with her, and I think it has gone so far beyond the performing relationship that we had. She's a true friend, and I'm so proud to be here for you tonight.
Thank
you.
you.
That. Yeah.
Thank you, David.
Petula Clark, this is your life.
Thank you.
This Is Your Life will be back with a new series of surprises in the autumn, here on BBC One.
Ladies and gentlemen. Oh, and some lovely news headlines this of your lottery cash being put to great use. And the tradition of excellence in music on our show continues with an international superstar. Next week she returns to the role of Norma Desmond in Andrew Lloyd Webber's Sunset Boulevard. But not before she sings for us. With one look, it's Petula Clark.
How you, Billy? Oh, our hearts were stopping. You weren't going to come through that door.
Oh, dear, oh, dear. Well, there's been a bit of a traffic jam and
I know.
the other.
Well, we've got a lot of presents wrapped up for you at the studio, so let's go. Yeah. This is part of your audience we brought here by coach. They're coming back as well.
But I can't even enjoy myself. All right, let's go.
Well, Norman Wisdom, king of comedy mayhem, this is your life, and your first taste of anything even remotely connected with show business came 50-odd years ago when you enlisted as a teenage army band boy and learned to play the trumpet, especially the regimental march of the Royal 10th Hussars in India. But more than 40 years ago, you enlisted in quite a different regiment, show business.
Attention! Squad will move to the right. Quick, march!
Your pals from the Grand Order of Water Rats, Henry Cooper.
And every morning, I walk there with you.
Davy Kay. John Persley. Derek Beatty. David Lodge. Bernie Clifton. Freddie Davis. Bill Persley. Percy Edwards. Ben Warwick. Vince Hill. Charlie Chester. And Roy Castle. Hey, let me just turn to you, Henry. Henry, you know, Norman's been quite a handy fighter in his time. Did you know that?
Oh, he's a bit useful at my old game, he was. They tell we got a lot in common because they tell me he was his battalion champion, the 10th was ours, and I was my battalion champion. But I must say, you know, he's got some great eccentric walks and he tumbles. He's a great clown, isn't he? People used to hit me on the chin. I used to walk like him and I used to fall and I didn't used to get a laugh. But he's made millions laugh in his lifetime and might be always be so, Norman.
But that's how, I learned to fall. You see, I used to get walloped more than you. And I used to fall at boom, boom.
Oh. Well, Norman, this is your life, and today, after more than 40 years of the top, you've won a whole new generation of fans with the popular television showbiz of your hit comedy films, which packed the nation's cinemas in the 50s and 60s.
Now then, hold that up there like that. There we are. Feel that? Your elbow. Oh. Take it away. Oh! Gotcha. Cross your legs. Oh! Gotcha. Relax. Too much. Tell me. Are you all right, sir? Turn it round. Wrong way, sir. It'll come right off with it. I'm terribly sorry, Puckle.
Oh, great success, Norman. Alas, though, of course, sadness when your marriage failed, but there were compensations, which is why I know one of your favorite film successes was Follow a Star, in which you had two very special co-stars. Then aged just 6, your son Nick. And who's this in the same movie? No. Yes, it is. Then aged just 4. And of course, they're both here, your daughter Jackie and son Nick. Nick, tell me, was your dad as much fun at home as he was on the screen?
Oh, he certainly was, Eamon, and I can tell you there were some chaotic scenes at dinner time. He used to put his elbows on the table, and then they'd slip, and he'd go straight into a plate of porridge or anything like that, and it used to be horrendous.
Well, from this picture, it looks as though you were helping him. So, Jackie, you both missed him, of course, when work took him away from home.
Oh, yes, definitely, Eamon. But the good thing about Dad going away was that when he used to come back with lots of presents for us.
Mm.
Yeah?
Such as?
Ooh, nice bits of jewellery, necklaces, whatever.
porridge.
But he also bought me a pony. And when we first got Jasmine, Dad insisted that he was the first to ride her. Do you remember that, Dad?
Yes, I do.
And she threw him,
Yeah.
which amused the few onlookers there, which wasn't planned for Dad, unfortunately.
Wasn't deliberate, though.
Norman, you were brought up in London's Paddington in the tough times of the 20s. Your late father was a chauffeur and your mother a dressmaker. Home was at 91 Fernhead Road.
Right, yeah.
And every morning you walked the 400 yards to this school, St. Luke's.
And every morning, Norman, I walked there with you.
Neighbour and school pal, the local grocer's son. You haven't seen each other for more than 60 years. Jack Bangay. Jack, you went on to become a success too as a company director, but was Norman something of a character even in those boyhood days?
Very much so. I could tell a few tales. But the thing that people remember him mostly for was the wonderful story of when he was knocked down by a bicycle and hurt his ear and was lying there in the road crying his eyes out. And along came a dear old lady and she said, "Oh, my little fellow, what's wrong? I think I can stop your crying." So she opened her purse and said, "Here we are. Here's a little silver sixpence. This'll stop your crying." And it did. But what people don't remember is the next morning he was in the same place trying to be knocked down again.
Thank you, Jack Bangay.
Thank you.
Well, now, Norman, sadly, your parents were divorced, and you and your late elder brother Fred were put into care, first in Hertfordshire, then at Deal in Kent.
Yes.
Leaving school, you find work as an errand boy locally before returning to London, looking like this in your first grown-up suit and trilby. Oh, very smart. Now, you get hotel jobs as page boy, then waiter, cabin boy on a freighter to South America, and army band boy. You take up boxing and, in fact, become the flyweight champion of the regiment in India. But you're always making your army pals laugh, and back in England, your army service completed, you resolved to get into show business. But before you could do anything about that, war was declared. You find yourself in 1939 back in the army, this time on the Royal Signals. Now, at Cheltenham, you're in the unit dance band. That's you on the saxophone.
Yes.
Playing at weekly dances.
And one night, when the band took their break, you got your own very first solo break in front of an audience.
Your great army pal of those more than 45 years ago, Patrick Dickinson. Now, tell us about the night of the dance, Patrick.
Well, I was sort of on the entertainments committee, and everyone used to rush to the bar when the interval came. So, in our wisdom, we thought of a plan to keep people back, and I suggested if the band took a turn to entertain us, we could stop people rushing to the bar, you see. So they all took a turn. And when Norman's turn came, he did some mimes. And I can remember three of them. One of them was paper tearing. One of them was dancing with ladies of all shapes and sizes. And the other one was the boxing routine.
And they all made them fall around the place. Thank you, Patrick Dickinson.
Imagine
Dickinson.
the ladies. Yeah, that's right.
Well, after Demob, you decide to have another crack at being a professional comedian. Your persistence pays off, and you're given a chance down the bill at the Old Collins Music Hall in 1946. You get music hall bookings up and down the country, and in 1947, a big break in a charity show at London's Victoria Palace with Laurel and Hardy top of the bill. Now, your rise up the bill begins the following year when someone pops into the theatre to catch your act, a very influential impresario then and now, Lord Delfont.
Hello, Norman.
Hello, Bernie.
You played an important part in my professional life in the world of entertainment. It all started as far back as the late 1940s, when I was presenting some of the famous American headliners who were making their first appearances in this country after the war at the London Casino. However, I was looking to include unknown English artists to be given an opportunity. My very close colleague for well over 40 years, Billy Marsh, who is your agent and with you, begged me to put you into one of these programs. Yes, I said, okay, but he can only be allowed 8 minutes as I had a very big program. On the opening night, however, you did half an hour, and you absolutely stopped the show. You are a legendary British star that will entertain the public for years to come. Thanks, Norman.
Thank you, Lord Delfont. While your career was taking off, yet amazingly, you'd yet to invent that cloth-capped character in a too-tight suit Now, that happened in Scarborough one day when the magician on the bill, the late and much missed David Nixon, asked you to help him by pretending to mess up one of his tricks. You would pretend to be a customer coming up from the audience, and you went out and bought the outfit, didn't you?
Yes.
What did it cost you?
30 bob for the suit and a shilling for the cap.
And even today, you wear that suit in cabaret with your longtime partner, Tony Fane, and it's that buttoned-up suit, cloth cap askew in 1953, you endear yourself into the nation in the film Trouble in Store. The first of 19 hilarious movies over 2 decades which bring comparisons with the early Chaplin. 1955 sees you in this one, and the title song was a big hit too.
The moment, the man of today. If he's the man of the moment, I'm happy to say. But he's not here for the moment, and then on his way, just the man of the moment for today.
And for our man of the moment tonight, they're right here, always the girls of the moment, the Beverly Sisters.
Today, if he's the man of happy birthday. Lovely to see you.
Girls, I understand there was, in fact, quite a moment. Sit down, Owen. Tell us about another moment, girls, at that charity concert at the London Coliseum.
Well, that was 34 years ago. Oh, my goodness. Now, it was a very swanky gala occasion, all international celebrities, for the Lynmouth Flood Disaster Fund, you must remember. We remember, anyway. And we just finished our act. We finished our act and went running off for our applause, and I slipped on a custard pie, went flying, hit my head on the microphone on the floor, and went out totally cold. Well, it put Norman in a dilemma, because the opening of Norman's act, you walk on and do a spectacular fall.
Yes. Right. But this moment proved that Norman Wisdom was a very big man, because without any hesitation...
He did a most beautiful thing. He strode out onto that vast stage, this little character with his little shrunken suit and cap on, and he scooped Babs up in his arms and gallantly carried her off.
He did. He did.
Well, thank you to the Beverly Sisters.
He really was the man of the moment. Yes, he was the man of the moment, the man of the moment. Congratulations.
By the mid-50s, Norman, put him down. You were certainly going up in the world, and appropriately enough, Going Up in the World was the title of your smash hit 1956 movie, in which you played a window cleaner who falls in love with a girl who's a maid.
I've a feeling of being so up in the world when I'm walking out with you. Up in the world is the feeling I get even talking about you. I confess.
Well, Norman, looks like the window cleaner and the maid had a head for heights.
I didn't. I never told you, did I, Norman? I actually suffer from vertigo.
Your fictional maid became a real-life countess you haven't met for 25 years. Former actress Maureen Swanson, the Countess of Dudley. Maureen, you must still be surprised you survived that scene, suffering as I know you do from vertigo.
Yes, I do suffer very badly from that.
I wondered why you kept holding on to me.
But the moment you started to sing to me, Norman, my fears were gone, and I consider it was the Norman conquest of my fears.
But Maureen, there was another hidden horror, wasn't there, as far as you were concerned?
Yes, rodents. Except, of course, water rats. I'm absolutely petrified of them. But, Norman, you had the bright idea, didn't you, of producing that little hamster, Harold, and I had to hold it and love it. Well, all I can say is that I should have been given an Oscar for bravery. But it is wonderful for me to be here tonight.
Thank you. Maureen Swanson, Countess of Dudley. Thank you. Thank you. Well, for all your cinema success, Norman, you're always in great demand for the stage, including, of course, the world-famous London Palladium. two great comedy talents there, and tonight that other decorator is taking a holiday break with his wife at her home in Puerto Rico. But not even the in-laws can keep him from the nearest golf course. Your old pal, Bruce Forsyth.
Hello, Eamon, and hello there, Norman. Well, now, when This Is Your Life do these film bits from overseas, the people always say, I'm sorry I can't be with you tonight. Well, I'm not. I'm not a hypocrite. No, I mean, here I am at Hyatt's Dorado Beach in Puerto Rico, probably one of the finest golf and tennis and hotel resorts in the world. So, I mean, I've just had 18 holes of golf. I'm just going to have a pina colada, if you'll pardon the expression. And then after that little light lunch, maybe another 9 holes of golf or a little bit of tennis, and then dinner under the stars. So how can I say, I'm sorry I can't be with you? But what I can say is, Norman, I hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful evening. And you know, you're someone I will always, always admire. So have a marvellous time. Oh, and Norman, if you decide to do the dance at the end of the show, make sure that Eamon does the leading. He's very touchy about that. Well, I think that's about all. I'm sorry you can't be here with me. Bruce Forsyth, News at 10, Puerto Rico. Oh, no, wait a minute. No, Bruce Forsyth, This Is Your Life, Puerto Rico. Do you like the outfit? I'm flying the flag. Go out on the legs, Carl. Go out on the legs. That's where the action is. All right?
Thank you, Bruce Forsyth in Puerto Rico. Norman, in the early 70s, you played in summer season with a rising young comedy star from Liverpool who used to watch your act from the wings.
And to me, pal, you'll always be the greatest.
In those days, star in name only, but today, star indeed, Freddie Starr.
Freddie, clearly. No.
Oh, yeah.
Now, Mr. Grimsdale.
I know, Freddie, that you found his particular brand of comedy quite an inspiration, didn't you?
Yeah. I based myself on Norman, you see, and I've always admired him brilliantly. And after being on stage, if sometimes you got a duff audience, you know, like we got tonight. I'm only joking. Shut up. I'd come up and say to him, the audience is a bit duff tonight, and I used to go outside, give him false information, and so he'd come on thinking that they were a terrible audience, but they weren't. And he used to do things for me on stage. He'd give me that whistle, because that used to crack me up. From that film where Jerry Desmond pinched your voice.
Oh, yeah.
And you were sat in the audience watching him on the film going, go on, get in. Go on, mate. And I always used to ask him to do that thing for me, just to brighten me up. It was brilliant. And Norman, may I say this to you, you've inspired me in my profession, and you're a gentleman, you're a true professional, and you're a genius, and you're a legend. And I love you dearly.
Thank you, Freddie Starr. Well, Norman, you're at the top of your profession in the late 60s, and your film career here doesn't go unnoticed by Hollywood. In 1968 comes the perfect role for you there, playing burlesque in The Night They Raided Minsky's.
From head to toe, I'm a masterpiece. You should hang in the Louvre. When I drink tea now, I don't lick the spoon. And I always stick my pinky up when I dunk my Lorna Doone.
Well, it's plain to see you're a gentleman. If I say it, it's true. Look in that looking glass, all you will see is class.
I've got that certain style, boy, it sticks out a mile.
Man of propriety,
Toast of society, a regular gentle and true.
Playing your partner there, one of the great names of the New York stage as well as cinema, and it's from New York he talks to you now. Jason Robards.
Oh, cool. Dear Norman, this is your old friend Jason. I haven't seen you for 20 years, but I always remember what a wonderful time we had working together. I'm so glad to be part of this tribute to you and to wish you a very happy birthday. And I always remember the song that we sang together, From Head to Toe, You're a Gentleman. And I can only say that about you. Happy, happy birthday. God bless. I hope we see each other soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Jason Robards. Norman, I'd like to remind you again of your days as a band boy with the Royal 10th Hussars at Lucknow in India more than half a century ago. There's a great old picture from India at the time of the British Empire. There's that cavalry band with young Norman Wisdom among the trumpeters. Very nostalgic, very impressive. But your band duties weren't always so impeccably carried out. One evening, you're the duty trumpeter detailed to sound the call, summoning officers to the mess.
Yes, and you got there late, didn't you, Scruffy?
He was there that day in India 54 years ago, Hussars Trooper Roger Tiny Willets. Tiny, what's this you call Norman Scruffy?
Well, he was always known as Scruffy in the regiment, and he was always late.
Well, now, so what happened the evening he was due to sound the officers' mess?
Yes, well, he was duty trumpeter with the main guard, and he got a sound officer's mess, but he had to use a bicycle. And, of course, he was always late, and he pedalled off down through the barracks. And when he got there, he didn't have time to jump off and stand to attention, so he sat on the bicycle and sounded it, and got caught by the orderly officer, which he did a few jankers. But anyway, he came up smiling, and he was a regimental comedian, good trumpeter, and sometimes he did a bit of fiddling.
Thank you, Tiny Willets.
Thank you.
Well, Norman, it's 34 years since the little man who plays the fool won the nation's hearts in his very first film. Still your favorite, I know. Few left the local cinema without a moist eye after this scene.
Don't laugh at me, 'cause I'm a fool. I know it's true, yes, I'm a fool. No one seems to care. I'd give the world to share my life with someone who really loves me. I see them all falling in love, but my lucky stars up above. Someday maybe my stars smile on me. Don't laugh at me, 'cause I'm a
And Norman, the girl who captured your heart and ours is here tonight. Lana Morris.
When you sang that to me 30 years ago, it made me cry.
Oh,
and it's
good.
just on the same thing now.
Lana, that of course may have
Don't
been
make me
fiction, but in
laugh.
fact, that scene remains in so many memories as real, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. I want to tell you something. I was on tour in Cardiff last year, and I was just walking along the street, and a young man dashed up to me and he gave me a rose. And it was lovely. And do you know what he said? He said, "That's for being so nice to Norman in those films." So, I want to give it to you. It's with my love and admiration, and from all your fans. Happy birthday.
You're still as nice as ever.
Thank you.
Norman Wisdom, comedy legend, this is your life.